Hi, the old school therapist here, and today's life topic is just some F.Y.I.s about eating disorders when you are working on your recovery. I was just doing a video about perfectionism, and it reminded me of how much perfectionism plays a part in being pulled into an eating disorder. And I just thought, you know what, there's some FYIs that I'd like to share. There's so much information out there about eating disorders, so I'm only going to share just a little bit. It comes from working with eating disorders for many decades, and also it comes from my own recovery and what I've learned. So I jotted a few thoughts down, and I'm going to read it to you all, and I hope that you find some of this helpful in your journey of recovery. There are many resources available online that will help you along the way in your recovery. Certainly from NEDA, National Eating Disorders Association, and so many other associations and treatment centers. So this is just a little extra, and it may be things you already know, but I thought I'd just share them. So one thing that I used to say a lot when I was working in treatment centers would be that it's not about the food, it's about the feelings. And so often when you're in treatment, working on your recovery, they will focus a lot on the feelings. And there's a reason for that, because so often an eating disorder, just like so many addictive cycles, is a way to manage feelings, to manage life. And so you want to be able to figure out what feelings are within your eating disorder behaviors. What feelings are you trying to numb out? What feelings are you trying to express? What feelings are you trying to distract from? Maybe there are feelings that you are trying to voice through your behaviors. You know, so often people would say to me, if somebody is not hearing me through my voice in what I'm trying to share with them, what I'm trying to get them to understand about me, it's going to come out in my behaviors. So what feelings, what are you trying to say in your behaviors that you're hoping people will understand rather than actually saying it to them? The feelings may be pain or shame or loneliness, guilt, it may be anger, it may be frustration. A lot of times people are not comfortable with the feeling of anger and will actually try to push down their angry feelings with food, or they may use behaviors to express their anger or get their anger out. So you want to think about the feelings that are a big part of your eating disorder cycle and the behaviors that you do. The other part that I think sometimes can get missed in treatment, because remember, when you go to treatment, they're going to focus a lot on weight restoration and trying to extinguish behaviors, because so much of what treatment is, the guidelines are determined really by insurance companies. And one of the things I think sometimes that gets missed is helping people to realize what the function is of their eating disorder. You know, what benefit do you get out of your eating disorder? And you may say, well, I don't get any benefit. It hurts me. I mean, it can kill me. Yes, that's true. However, any addictive cycle that we do, actually a lot of things in life that we do that really aren't good for us or are really hurting us, we're getting something out of it. it's benefiting us in some way, even though it's also hurting us. So what would be the function of your eating disorder? And some of the functions that I wrote down would be, besides it numbing the pain or distracting from the pain, has it become your voice? Is your eating disorder your voice to other people, to the world? Do your eating disorder behaviors give you power and control? And I would say control is probably a very common function and benefit that a lot of people have with their eating disorder behaviors. They can control so many things when they're using their behaviors. Do your eating disorder behaviors become the one safe, reliable relationship in your life? Is it something that gives you rest and refuge, and it just, the behaviors just it's the one place you can go to that you can finally relax and rest? Do you feel really powerful when you use your behaviors? Some people feel very powerful when they're doing their behaviors. Is it the invisible wall, your behaviors that you use to protect yourself from the world or push other people away? So there's always some kind of function. There's always some kind of benefit. Now, one common one, and you may be thinking this, is it's helping me to look the way the world tells me that I need to look. Okay, and yet at what cost? Right? So if that's one of the functions, at what cost? Any of these functions, at what cost do we pay when we use eating disorder behaviors to achieve something or to benefit us in some way? If you are in recovery right now and working on recovery, whatever function, whatever benefits you get from your eating disorder, you're going to need to replace that function, replace those benefits with something that gives you a similar benefit. It's a similar function in your life, but it's helpful to you. It's healthy for you. It's not going to hurt you. So an example would be, if my eating disorder behaviors have become my voice rather than actually verbalizing it, then I want to work on being more assertive. I want to work on boundaries. I want to work on being able to push myself to say what I need to say, even if other people don't hear it. So working on skills to actually use my real voice rather than my behaviors to communicate to other people. If one of the functions or benefits that I get from my eating disorder behaviors is that it gives me power and I feel powerful, then you want to find things that make you feel powerful, which would be helping your body to be powerful and strong. Maybe using weights in an appropriate manner, maybe going towards martial arts or boxing, maybe doing activities or pursuing something that gives you that confidence and you feel empowered when you're doing it. If your eating disorder is a way to relax and just find kind of, the place where you can just have refuge from the world, well, then it would be important to find, self-care activities and structuring in your daily life some care for yourself so you can relax, so you can have some refuge in things like, meditation or prayer or taking some time out and having a hot bath or getting a facial or whatever it is that could allow you to relax. Maybe if it's giving you control, then what are you trying to control? Because it may be that you need to learn boundaries and asserting yourself, just like having your voice, because that gives you a healthier amount of control when you are setting boundaries with other people. It's very empowering. See, and I'm sorry, I'm not very prepared for this. It was something I just typed out quickly. Whatever you replace your function with, as far as from your eating disorder behaviors, if you are trying a new skill, if you're doing something like a new activity that really builds your confidence, or pursuing something that you've always wanted to do, that will feel very empowering and can feel very powerful. If you need to relax and take refuge, then maybe going to something that's self-care, like getting maybe a facial, or taking some time out to get your nails done, or taking a hot bath, or using music, or lighting a candle, just something. It doesn't have to be expensive, that you care for yourself, that you build an environment where you can relax. So remember, whatever function and benefits that you get from your eating disorder, and as you're trying to find something that's healthier and helpful to you and not hurtful to replace those benefits but get a similar benefit from, you're not going to get the same relief like you would your eating disorder behaviors right away, because your brain has been wired to respond quickly to your eating disorder behaviors, and it's not going to respond quickly to doing self-care or taking a boxing class or whatever as quickly as your eating disorder behaviors will give you. It takes time for our brain to kind of rewire and learn that these new activities that we're doing, these new hobbies that we're doing, or routines that we're going to do for ourselves actually can be beneficial. So be patient. When you learn skills, when you decide to do something different, it's going to take time for you to get that relief. It's going to take time for you to feel empowered and feel like you have a voice, whatever it is that it's giving you. The benefit of using an eating disorder to make our bodies submit and to recreate them and to make them be the way we think they need to be, because that's what society has told us. Just remember, it is a lot of brainwashing and indoctrination that has happened. And I may do a segment just on body image, but we have been brainwashed, we have been indoctrinated, and I think it's just important for you to recognize that this isn't just the truth of the reality that just naturally occurred. It's been intentional in our culture to tell us that our bodies are not okay the way they naturally occur. And I'm not talking about being medically healthy, because that's a separate issue, but I'm talking about that the message and the indoctrination that we have to look a certain way, we have to be a certain shape, we have to weigh a certain amount on the scale in order to have significance and value and acceptance and be successful. I would just encourage, as I said earlier, try to focus on your body being powerful and having stamina and strong. You want a strong body. It's hard to have a strong body when you're starving it. It's hard to have a strong body when you're doing behaviors that deplete it. So if you can focus on having a strong and powerful body that has stamina, and then I know body acceptance is it's a long shot for most of us. Certainly loving our bodies is a long shot, but I'll tell you what, if you can strive, if you can work towards that, that is awesome because it's very freeing. But if you could have body gratitude, if you could just be thankful for what your body allows you to do day in and day out, whether it's hug people, whether it's, doing things that you love to do, activities, sports, just getting around in your life. There's just so many things that if we think about it, our body does for us. And remember, our body's not the enemy. I think that so often when we haven't dealt with the hurts in our life, or we've had trauma, especially sexual trauma, it's easy to take it out on our bodies, right? A lot of the people that have hurt us, we can't get to, so to speak. We are not able to project our pain onto them, or we don't feel like we're ever going to get justice, or they will never understand how they've hurt us. And so it's easier to blame our bodies. It's easier to make our bodies the fall guy and blame our bodies for what others have done to us, because we're attached to our body. Our body's attached to us. It can't go anywhere. And so it's easier to blame, and we see our bodies all the time. That may sound a little silly, but just think about it. Sometimes our bodies are the ones that get our wrath and our anger and our resentment, because the people that hurt us are not around to put that wrath and anger and resentment onto. I want you to remember that just because you have thoughts and urges, that doesn't mean you have to act on them. The eating disorder is really sneaky, and it tries to convince us that if we have a thought or an urge, we have to act on it. You don't. Use your skills. Distraction, opposite action. There's so many great skills that you can learn through your therapy and through treatment, and there's so many great workbooks out there, and I'll include some at the end of this video. But you don't have to follow through on your urges and your thoughts. It's something that really doesn't go away. It can diminish, but it's going to be there for a long time. And you don't have to act on it. Remember, the eating disorder is a liar, and it's going to lie to you. That if you have the urge, if you have the thought, you have to follow through. You don't. Just use your skills. And if you do follow through, okay, then don't beat yourself up. Remember, recovery is 5 steps forward, 3 steps back. 4 steps forward, 2 steps back. As long as your steps in recovery are forward more than backwards, you're in recovery. And every time you have a victory, you count that victory, okay? A slip doesn't take away from your victories that you had before the slip. In fact, I would encourage you to write down your victories. Write down your victories. If you've gone 3 days without behaviors, write that down to remind yourself. And then if you have a slip, that you can pick yourself up, okay? You can get back on track. But try to remember your victories, write them down. And the reason I encourage you to write it down is because so often when we're struggling and we're having a hard time, we have a hard time remembering our victories. But a slip a fall, even a relapse does not erase your victories. Okay, so you hold on to those victories. It takes about 2 years for a brain to heal itself from constant behaviors and what we do to ourselves through an eating disorder cycle. So just try to remember that. You need to be in your weight range, and you need to be really decreased in your behaviors for your brain to heal. So it's going to take about 2 years. So you want to be patient. It's awesome, you know, if you can keep accumulating time where you're abstaining, and then you may have a slip. But just know that your brain takes time to heal, and our brain is the computer, right? And so it needs to heal if everything else is going to work better. As I said earlier, if you have a slip or if you have a fall, you don't need to beat yourself up, okay? Just pick yourself up. You can make a different choice in the next hour, okay? Or if today is really difficult, then know that you can make different choices tomorrow. You don't have to stay down, and you don't have to have the F.I.t. attitude. The eating disorder will try to convince us that when we slip up, or we make a mistake, or we fall, or we do behaviors, then just F it. I might as well just keep going, right? It's all wasted, and it's, you know, I might as well just give into it. You don't have to do that, okay? So you've messed up, you've had a slip, you can make a different choice in the rest of the day or in the next hour, okay? That's within your power. You can do that. And I know some days are harder than others, but just try not to let that eating disorder convince you that it's all a wash, and you need to just say F it and give into it and just do behaviors for the rest of the day. You can turn it around. You really can. One thing too, I learned that when you're using skills, remember dialectical behavioral therapy, ACT, which is acceptance commitment therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy. There's so many skills. When you're doing skills, especially skills of distraction or trying to do opposite action, to try to distract from following through on a behavior, a lot of times skills can sound or be very sedentary, and an eating disorder is very physical. Eating disorder behaviors are very physical, especially a couple of them. And so to distract, you may need to do something physical. Just sitting there reading a book, just sitting there watching TV or a movie isn't going to do it for you. You may need to get up and start vacuuming. You may need to get up and start dusting or go for a walk that's reasonable. But you may need to find something physical to do to help you distract rather than just sitting and trying to distract. For a lot of people, it's just too sedentary. Remember, the eating disorder is not stronger than you are. I know that the eating disorder, there's genetics involved, there is the medical components and aspects physically that are involved. There's environment, right? Where there's so much that this world does to pull us towards our eating disorder cycle and choosing the eating disorder. But remember, you are stronger than your eating disorder. Your eating disorder, yes, it's an addictive cycle. You are made in the image of the creator of the universe, the intelligent designer. Your eating disorder cycle is not. Aside from the genetics and other things which can be managed, so much of what drives an eating disorder cycle is this collection of feelings and thoughts and memories that are so painful. And it becomes the way for us to protect ourselves and manage life and manage the pain, okay? But that collection of thoughts and memories and feelings that drive so much of the eating disorder is not made in the image of the creator of the universe. You are. It's just something you happen to struggle with. The eating disorder is not your identity, and I know that that's a benefit that some people get from their eating disorder, but it's a lie. You are not your eating disorder, and if that's one of the benefits that you get, there are so many things that I want to encourage you to try to realize that it is not your identity. Ask people what they like about you. Ask people what they like about you. The people that you trust in your life, and I hope there's at least one. I know for some people, people have really disappointed them so much that they don't even trust anybody. But those that you trust, people that you're safe with, ask them what they like about you. And I know that they're going to say so many things that they like about you, that they love about you, why they care about you. It has nothing to do with your eating disorder. It may be your sense of humor. It may be your intelligence. It may be your creativity. It may be that you are a great visionary, that you are able to pull together different concepts and in planning an event. It may be that the way you show affection and love is so wonderful to them. There are going to be things about you that have nothing to do with your eating disorder that people love about you. That's your identity. There's so many things, and maybe now that I'm thinking about it, maybe I need to do a talk about identity, but there's so many things that define you. It is not your eating disorder. So don't believe the lie that the eating disorder tries to tell you, that that's who you are, because it's not. It's just something you happen to struggle with. But anyway, this ball of feelings and thoughts and memories is what drives the eating disorder, and it's not as powerful and as strong as you. So try to remember that. Yeah, I know you may not feel that way, but it's not. You are more powerful. You are stronger than your eating disorder. When you're struggling, just try to do the next right thing, okay? When you're struggling and it's hard to think straight, just try to remember to do the next right thing. The next right thing may be to go to a support group. The next right thing may be to make sure that you don't cancel your appointment with your therapist. The next right thing may be to make sure that you do follow your meal plan. The next right thing may be to call somebody for support. Do the next right thing, and then after you do that, do the next right thing, and then the next right thing. Just break it up in those segments, okay? One of the things that I realized in my own recovery, and what I've noticed with clients throughout the years, is that they get to a point where their behaviors just don't do it for them anymore. They don't get the same relief, the same benefit. Their behaviors just don't do it for them anymore. And when you reach that point, just know that it's such a big indicator that you are really getting stronger in recovery, and keep going, okay? And until you reach that point, whoops, that's one of my dogs. Sorry, I think that's Joybug. You never know around here. I've got two dogs. They're both at my feet right now. I think she's choking on one of her treats. just know that until you get to that place, it is possible. I've worked with so many people. I've worked with eating disorders and people struggling with eating disorders for over 30 years. So it's a lot of people that I've worked with, including my own recovery, and you will get there, okay? Just don't give up, okay? And when it just doesn't do it for you anymore, that's a good sign. That's a great sign. Lastly, don't give up. Never give up. That you will never give up. If you are not ready to give up your eating disorder right now, that you're getting too much from it, and the cost of it hurting you is not that big a deal right now to you, just be honest about that, okay? I get that. That sometimes it's like, yeah, I know it's hurting me, I know it could probably kill me, but I like too much of what I get from it. Just be honest with yourself, be honest with your therapist, be honest with your treatment team, wherever you're at. Be honest about that. It's a strong pull, I get it. But what I want to say is never give up. Never give up, and just keep putting one foot in front of the other. Nothing's wasted. When you have a slip, it doesn't cancel out your victories, okay? So I hope that some of this helped. I just want you to know that it's possible. I've been in recovery for many, many years now, and it is possible. And a lot of my clients that were in treatment after treatment after treatment, and it just really felt so hopeless at times, they're in recovery now. And remember, there's no perfect recovery. You're still in recovery even if you have a slip every once in a while, okay? So thank you for watching. I hope it's helpful, and I will see you in the next video.